So just a quick bit of video about how I do Midi timecode. Just want to show you a bit of that. So this is a key points software running some timecode. This comes out as LTC. So I'm using lockstep to convert LTC to Midi. Yeah, that then goes into this Midi session that I've got set up in Midi network setup, which is part of Audio Midi. Yeah, so I've just got that, and then that's connected to participants. So you can add some participants. Oh, the mouth. If you go here and you add participants, you can like type in stuff. So I'll show you because this is important because I've got some custom code running. We're gonna have a look at. But yeah, I'll just show you. So that's doing that, and then if I press it, yeah, you can see the time code's going up here. So that's coming from the Mac over. Oh, sorry, what is a very messy table over a network. It's a network switch over there to the router and the network switch. And then eventually coming in, we've got one network line into the Grand MA. And as you can see, it's got two MIDI ports, which connect to this cable, which actually, if you notice, comes from within. I've stuck a little switch in here, inside the MA. And what you can't see, roughly around here, is just a Raspberry Pi. I've put it around here, but I've screwed it all up, so I can't get to it. How well can you see back here? I don't know. The power cable's there for the Raspberry Pi next to the network, so the Raspberry Pi is getting all its power inside here. That's just, of course, coming in as the main input for the time code, which is MIDI. It might add a bit of the delay, not much delay, but nothing you can't account for. It's roughly about the same. So how am I doing that? So now let's talk about how I'm doing it. I won't do any other cameras. I can't be asked to record my face. I'll just use the mouse. So, as I said, you've got the cue points coming out. In the audio configuration, I've got an aggregation device. Let's have a look at the MIDI. In the audio devices, I'm creating this aggregation device between the black hole device, which is like a virtual piece of software you run, creates a virtual 16 ins, outs, inputs. I've got that and the Mac speakers. So I'm using the Mac speakers as the first two. Yeah. You could also use something like loop back. But as of now, I think it currently does support this beta, but it didn't when I was using it earlier, so I'm using this. I might swap back. I like loop back. It works really well. So that says the time code. So play the time code. Time code plays. Etc. That sends that into this, which takes it as LTC on channel 1. And then the MTC, the MIDI time code, comes out of this, goes into the virtual input, which in this is called addit, but is actually called tedious main. And then you can it'll show participants on the network, or you can add participants. So this is the IP address and the port. They come here, and then you see your network addresses down here. You can choose how you want people to connect to. You need to make sure you switch it on. If you don't switch it on, it doesn't work very well. Yeah, so that then talks to that Raspberry Pi, which then outputs it over MIDI. I'll show you how to do that. On my GitHub, I've written some code. It'll be in the info on it. Oh no, that just literally has the commands. Okay. Very simple one-page script. Nothing complex going on here, like 112 lines of code and some packages. The MIDI package, the RTMP MIDI package, and the Express package. This is the device name. So that's the device name of the USB device connected to the Raspberry Pi that the MIDI's going over. Can't remember how you find that, but I'm sure if you Google it, it'll be obvious. You've got Express, web server. Then you've got a session. So this is creating an RTMP MIDI session on the local, which is given a local name, network to USB MIDI. I'm running it on port 5004. The reason I'm doing that is because sometimes I run it on a Mac that's also running MIDI sharing, and these can show up as two different devices and communicate differently. Outputs and device ports, -1, whatever. I'm just showing you the code on here because it's just easier than me trying to pull it up in an editor. When it starts, what happens when it starts? Where we're going? We initialize a connection. If we fail to initialize a connection, we error. Please restart the script. It'll constantly restart according to the thingy, but yeah. So essentially what this does is it creates a session that on a message on a session, on every message, it goes to the output, which is the output device, which we will create in this open MIDI connection. This assigns an output device to a new MIDI device, which is assigned to the physical USB. So that essentially all this does is mirror what comes in on the network MIDI over the USB MIDI to allow us to send it out over USB. This essentially allows us to stream it straight out of the Raspberry Pi into the Grand MA, as opposed to doing something like having an on-PC session running on a Windows PC. Because I'm not a Windows person. I'm a Mac person all the way. Blah, blah, blah. It has some endpoints, so I'll show you these. So it has the status one, which literally says status connected, port, what port it's connected to, and the device name, what the device name is, and the MIDI, whatever. If you want to find out what the device name is, this will log out all the port. Yeah, this is just logging out all the things there. So you just look at the logs the first time you run it. It has this reconnect, which essentially closes the connection with the USB device, and then reconnects to the USB device to make sure, in case you need to like reboot it in that fashion or something like that. That's all you could do over the network. It has a shutdown function to gracefully shut down and close everything. You've got the package JSON stuff. You've got the MIDI service stuff. Needs to be the MIDI. Restart always. Blah, blah, blah. I saved this in the var MIDI connect. MID connect. I don't know why I missed the I in that. That's really annoying. Yeah, that's that. I just thought I'd show somebody because MIDI setup. There's a MIDI setup application for Windows that I used to use when I still use when I'm using an Avo, but you can't run it on a Grand MA. So yeah, at some point maybe I'll port this, which is JS code, to something that you can run natively on the MA. Maybe that'd be worth it. So that actually it just connects to that MIDI network on the MA, and you don't even need the USB dongle. But that's bound for problems, isn't it? But there's this. I don't know if it's public. Let me find out and we'll have a look. You can come with me. Oh, maybe it's not even on here. I do have some code which will come up on here at some point. I'll make it available. That uses a similar bit of code to listen to it, but you can also then give it like a JSON file of your cues, and it'll just play those cues. It will list those cues out and list the timecode out on a screen or whatever via a web browser. But yeah, this is this. Hope this has been interesting. Thank you very much.